All right, so the next one here, the U.S. fires HIMARS into the South China Sea. So the U.S. military fired munitions into the South China Sea this week using HIMARS rocket systems amid soaring tensions with China in the region. So these are typically, this has been a big weapon that Ukraine's gotten from the U.S. that they've used a lot against Russia. This is, typically it's a land-based rocket system that is typically fired against targets on land, but in this case, they're firing at targets in the sea, and that sea happened to be the South China Sea. So these live fire drills occurred on the Philippine island province of Palawan as part of the annual U.S.-Philippine Balikatan exercise, which has involved 9,000 U.S. troops, 5,000 Philippine soldiers, 260 Australian service members, and smaller deployments from Japan, France, the UK, and several other countries. So according to the Philippine Armed Forces Western Command, the live fire drills involved U.S., Philippine, and Australian troops and were conducted in Rizal, a municipality on Palawan's west coast, which is on the South China Sea. Philippine forces also fired missiles and artillery into the sea. So a U.S. Marine Corps spokesman told Stars and Stripes that the HIMARS were fired at set targets in the sea. And so this is a very big drill exercise, the Balikatan, that the U.S. and the Philippines do. I believe it's about 2 weeks long. They've also done drills in the northern Philippine provinces that are across from Taiwan. And the U.S. has deployed a new missile system on top of the HIMARS for these drills, the Navy Marine Expeditionary Ship Interdiction System that has a range of about 100 miles. It's an anti-ship system, so that could be used for targets in the South China Sea. And last year, the U.S. deployed a Typhon missile system for these Balikatan exercises. And the Typhon missile system is very controversial. This is a land-based system that can fire Tomahawk missiles, which have a range of over 1,000 miles. So that means if they're in the Philippines, they could hit mainland China. They are also, it would have been banned under the INF treaty, the treaty that the first Trump administration withdrew from in 2019 that banned medium-range land-based missiles. So China was very unhappy about the Typhon missile system being sent there for the drills, and it's still there. It was kind of sent. They said, we're sending it for the Balikatan, but over a year later, it's still there. So that suggests that this other missile system and the HIMARS also aren't going anywhere, as tensions are really rising between China and the Philippines over their maritime dispute in the South China Sea. The U.S. has really been increasing support for the Philippines in this area. And this is important for us Americans because the U.S. and the Philippines have a mutual defense treaty. And the U.S. always says that it applies to attacks on Philippine boats in the South China Sea. And the Chinese and Philippine Coast Guard always have these encounters. So the U.S. is basically saying if this maritime dispute turns hot, then they will intervene. So it's an important area for us to keep an eye on.